I've got two tanks, I got three tanks rather. I got the two wing tanks, the main tank. Wing tanks are about 8,600 pounds, 28.8 for the main tanks. Fuel the outboard tanks first before the inboard, and then you burn them in the opposite order. I'll talk about the pumps real quick. So we've got the boost pumps forward and aft for both. They're AC transfer bus, 2 and 1 respectively, powered in. These pumps are normally positioned on for flight. I got the low pressure light. The low pressure light means that there's low pressure output from the pump for each one of these. I get the center tank fuel pumps. We turn the center tank pumps on when we have more than 1,000 pounds. And I also mentioned on the ground. We turn the center tank fuel pumps on. There's got to be someone on the flight deck to monitor the low pressure lights. That low pressure light will come on with this low pressure output from the pump with the pump switch on. So when we burn it on the center tank, we'll burn it down to depletion. Then I'll opportunity to throw in another limit, out of chapter 3. So when the center tank low pressure light comes on, we'll turn off the corresponding pump. Unless the center tank says 0, then we'll turn off both pumps. And then we'll talk about the cross feed. And the cross feed valve, if there's the light associated with it, maximum fuel imbalance is 1,000 pounds. There's an opportunity to throw in that limit while you're there between left and right tanks. If you want to talk about how you cross feed, that's fine. That's more of an operations than a system stuff. But you can talk about how you say we can cross feed. We cannot transfer fuel, but we can cross feed. And then if you want to throw that in, anytime you talk about something that gives you an opportunity to segue into a limit, then maybe that's a good opportunity to throw in another limit. And then you can say, hey, look, we can't transfer fuel from here, but we cross feed, meaning that we burn from one tank to both engines. That's how we burn out the heavy tank to get the fuel to balance. If we need to transfer fuel, that's something that's done on the ground from the refueling panel on the right wing. If you transfer fuel out of or defuel a tank less than 2,000 pounds, you have to deplane all the passengers, and there's another opportunity to throw in a limit. Filter bypass, talk about those lights. 2 more limits. -37, +49. There's spar valve closed. These valves will isolate fuel from the fuel tank to the engine. Here's the spar valve. This is right at the engine. And I'll throw the power sources in here. Hey, this is controlled by the start lever. So the start lever is lifted to idle. That spar valve will then open it, and then the start lever will command that to the open position through the EEC. They both close when I take the start lever, where the start lever is in these things, start lever to fuel cutoff. Or if I pull the fire switch, they both go to fuel cutoff. Then what I do with the fuel panel is I will then go to this panel, kind of sidestep over, because then now I can talk a few more limits over here. There's a config enunciation, so I have more than 1,600 pounds in the center tank without the center tank fuel pumps on. I get the config. Low quantity is 2,000 pounds a tank. If I have a imbalance and a low quantity, the low quantity is going to take precedent. I need a minimum of 1,675 per tank on the ground for cooling of the hydraulic pumps, because the hydraulic pumps are located in the fuel tanks for cooling.
The heat exchanger.
Yeah, heat exchanger. Thank you. And that's kind of it. I mean, that's super fast, but that's kind of the flow in which. So it's what does the switch do, and then what does the light mean, and then tons of limits thrown there. So that's how I would recommend